Let's talk about the price. I own two Fujifilm XT3s and I bought both of them used from a used website called KEH. Both cameras went for roughly $800 to $900-ish in that ballpark range. And with KEH, the condition of the camera will determine how much the price point is. Not all used cameras are in the same condition. So you just want to make sure that if you are buying a used camera, that you're mindful of the condition that it's in. All right, let's talk performance and specs. I'm not here to say that specs don't matter, because they do, but they also aren't everything. Out of this camera, you can get 4K, F-Log, you can shoot 420, 10-bit footage, right in camera on your SD card. If you want to do 422, you're gonna have to do it over HDMI for an external recorder. 4K, 60 frames per second. You can do 120 frames per second for super slow motion, but you are going to be sacrificing your resolution because you can only do that at 1080. That's just something to consider if you're getting a camera specifically for slow-mo purposes. Like, you need the higher frame rates, but you also need high quality resolution. Like, I need 4K plus. I wouldn't go for this camera if that's exactly what you need, because that isn't its strong suit necessarily. It is a very good quality image and you're getting a lot of information to play with for color grading. Like I said, it's 10-bit 420 internally, but you can also get 10-bit 422 if you do HDMI over a SAR recorder. And for all the people who really like to dive into the image and pull it and break it apart, the reason why I say that specs aren't everything is because just because the camera has good specs doesn't automatically mean your image is going to look good if you don't know how to properly expose an image. You could be shooting on an older camera that shoots maybe only 1080, but then you have a newer camera that can do all these crazy cool 8K specs and all this other stuff, but the person shooting on the 1080 camera might have a better looking image because they know how to really get in there and expose an image properly. So if you are good with the camera and you know what you're doing with your exposure and you have a camera like this, you can really create some good stuff. I've used this camera in real world situations, not just doing YouTube videos. I've shot weddings with it. I've shot commercials. I've shot music videos with it. I've used this camera for almost every type of video that you can shoot, and I've been happy with the results in each situation. Another feature that I really love that this camera has is that you aren't stuck to just using the built-in preset white balance settings like daylight or incandescent. You can also dial in your Kelvin settings as well, so you can really take control of your white balance with this camera. Who is this camera for? If you exclusively shoot video, you can definitely use this, but I honestly think that this is perfect for hybrid shooters who do video and photo. You can fully rig this camera out for your video shoots, or you can strip it all the way down and have a super lightweight photo setup. If you're a YouTuber or a vlogger and you're primarily just shooting yourself, doing like talking head style videos, I wouldn't suggest this camera. From a quality standpoint, it definitely is good, but functionality, trying to use it in that way, I wouldn't suggest it because it doesn't have the flip out screen. Now, you could make it work if you're going to do an external monitor like I do. I just wouldn't suggest it because it's really not as easy to use in that way. You could use Fuji's camera connection app that they have. Every time I've used it, it's been pretty laggy for me. There is a newer version of this camera called the XT4 that does have a screen that flips out. So that could be an option for you. All right, let's talk about cons for this camera. Number one, the battery life is trash. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to just try to clean this up. You probably get an hour, maybe. You might get an hour. You might get an hour out of one battery. You might. But in all honesty, I'd say 50 minutes to be safe. You're gonna have to have multiple batteries or do like a battery grip situation or use a power bank or V-mount battery or some kind of way to charge your battery while it's shooting for this camera to really be effective. I have an Anker power bank that I use with my camera that has worked really well for me. I've gotten through a full day shoot before with one battery in that power bank. There's no IBIS in this camera. For some people, that's a deal breaker. For me, it really isn't, because I do shoot on sticks a lot. And if I am doing camera movement, a lot of time I'm gonna be doing that in slow motion anyway. So that helps to smooth it out. I also use stabilization in post, which has also worked pretty well for me. There have been times though when it is noticeable. So I would just say, be mindful of it. Don't try to do crazy action handheld shots with this because it's going to be jittery and it'll be noticeable. But you know, if you just are planning for it, you can maybe come in with a gimbal or come up with other ideas to help make your shots as stable as possible. So just keep that in mind. In conclusion, this camera is over 5 years old and it's still working well for me. It's still creating great images. You can still do professional, high-end client work. and not feel like you're cheating your clients, not feel like you're not coming out with a good image. From a photo standpoint, there's no complaints. That's probably the strongest point on this camera is its photo capability. And when you're doing video, you are still getting good quality images. And this goes for any camera. You also just have to know what type of videos you're going to be shooting. Specs are good, but yeah, look at all the features on the camera as well. Like, what do I have to have based on the type of videos that I'm doing or the type of photos I'm doing? So that's stuff to consider as well. Hopefully we were able to complete the objective of this video for you and help you determine whether or not this was the camera for you. Let me know in the comments below. Either way, if it is good for you, let me know. If it's not, let me know. If you found this video useful, leave a like and be sure to subscribe for even more content like this. Until next time, peace.